Today, it's a family affair. Today, I got one of the most talented people that I know out there. Incredible guitarist, my cousin Anastassios. How you doing, man?
Giorgio, I'm so good.
How you doing?
I'm fine, thanks. How are you?
I'm all good, thank you. We're saying what it's your first podcast today that you've ever done.
It is. It's my very first podcast, and to be honest, to be involved in this, frankly, god tier podcast for the first time is like it's quite an honor. So thank you for having me on.
Thank you for doing it. You've been in the making for a while, hasn't it now?
It has, yeah. Ever since you started it, you're just like, oh, cuz we got to do it. Oh, cuz we got to do it. And I was like, oh, cuz we got to do it. Oh, cuz we got to do it. And then finally,
I always keep my promise, and I got you on today. So
yes, I'm so grateful.
My pleasure. But how's things been now? Been okay?
Everything's been fine. Like, obviously, through lockdown, it was a bit of a shock to the system.
Mm-hmm.
You know, like every creative person, it was like you had to readjust to certain things, but it was kind of an excuse to do things which I was procrastinating over for the longest time. So it was, so I'm doing good at the moment.
Good.
Yeah.
How was lockdown for you though? Obviously, you kept in touch loads since then, seen each other since, obviously.
We did.
But how was it for you though?
Do you know what? It was interesting because there was something, I don't want to like say anything that was quite controversial, but it was quite nice.
Yeah.
Like, you know, when you get a chance to sort of slow down a little bit and say, okay, this is what I'm doing. I'm going to focus on this stuff now. And then for me personally, I started the online teaching thing. I went quite deep into that. And then it was quite creative as well. I mean, I released my first track over the lockdown, which
is amazing, by the way.
Together. Oh, thank you so much. But yeah, it was interesting. But then obviously, like everybody, when it was a year past and then a year and a half, I was like, okay, I really need to. I want to get back to doing some gigs now.
Yeah.
You know, I really want to start playing again. So. But yes, we just started that up again, so everything's good. I love the mic, by the way.
Thank you. This is the mic for my business, actually. By the way, if you're listening to this podcast, check out Keep It 30, the new podcast just for schools, actually, to help kids with their mental health. So check that out. Like I said before the podcast, I'm using this one today because the studio, which is obviously, as you know, in the studio or downstairs in the basement area, it's locked off for a little while because of housework. So, which means I can't do podcasting in there. I can't play PS4. I can't chill down there. So everything's in here and everything's fine. But I at least got Iron Man behind me over there. You see in the corner.
That's sick, yeah.
Right there. I had to buy one now.
I know. I understand. I need to buy more masks because I'm just wear them every day because I just love to walk around town just dressed as Iron Man or something.
Yeah. How sick was that one I sent you though? That one with like
it was awesome. Yeah.
It goes, what's his name? I forgot his name now. Jarvis. It goes Jarvis. Open the mask. It just opens up. Yeah. I want that. But you know what I've been doing recently though? Ever since I started the podcast, I've been buying like loads of bits for the background. Like toys and masks, and that kind of stuff. You should
get a big Superman poster or like something, but like have it custom made. So he has like the Hip Hop Orchestra logo on him.
Yeah,
but it's like he's just handling it like that.
You know, saying that the original idea actually before I started this podcast was actually to get like the neon lights of the name of the podcast. But it's really bloody expensive. Like it cost like 500-600 quid, I think. I think more to make it.
Just actually buying the individual letters, or you're gonna like get them custom made in a font and
custom made. So you choose your colors, choose the font. I think it's actually more than that. I think, but I got a original plan to get like that neon lights in the background, which looks sick, but it didn't work. But talk about Superman though. You see, obviously, the canvas behind me normally.
Yes,
not that one, but I love this one though. He actually. Shout out to Shen, actually. Mehmet's sister, they bought me that for a little thank you gift. I love the piano at a wedding. I love this canvas. I always get confused how to do this like this. but you know what? I love podcasting though. It is so sick.
Honestly, it seems like you found your calling. Like the moment you started it, it was like the way your reaction was like, oh, because I feel like I've been doing this forever, and you just like threw yourself into it. So honestly, much respect for you to,
thank you, man.
To find something that you've just put your heart and soul into. I mean, you've been doing that for years, like the Hip Hop Orchestra stuff, your originals, like back in the day, and then you did your teaching for the longest time, and every single student, you know, loved having Georgie
Yeah,
to teach. You know what I mean?
as well.
I mean, I wish you were my music teacher, you know, back in the day.
Still not too late, by the way. Although
yeah,
you can help
exactly.
me now because you're better than me.
Oh,
now,
mate, no. But honestly, then you podcast in, and it's like you have your fingers in so many pies, including the cherry pie, which is understandable because
I do love a cherry pie.
Yeah, but honestly, you were, even when I was growing up, like, I always, because I knew you're obviously into music a lot long before I was, and or like playing the piano, and you're just shredding on the keyboard and everything. I was like, my cousin is awesome. He's great. Man, and and so I know. So it's like, George is in music. I want to be in music, and it was just like, it was so great to see somebody else in the family, other than my mum, of course, like who was just so into the arts and stuff. So
and that's why I'm so really proud of what you're doing right now, because to see what you're turning into now, this incredible guitarist, and seeing the comments you're getting, your music, it's been like this amazing journey of seeing my cousin just grow into this amazing epic guitar. I'm just looking at my cousin, but literally watching like, oh my god, you're like god level now. Guitarist, like, Jesus, this guy's sick. But, it's amazing.
Oh, thank you so much. It's early days, but it's like, but you know what it's like. You know, when you're releasing something that's yours and it's all original, and when you're sitting there by yourself and you're your own worst enemy,
of course,
and you're just sitting there going like, if people are gonna like it, how is it gonna be? What's the reception going to be like? And you're always second guessing yourself. But I think after you just sort of press the button and then it's out, it's done. There's almost that sense of relief. Like, well, it doesn't really matter now. All right, on to the next one. And if you know, if it's not that great or whatever, then you try again and you just go through the whole process again.
Of course.
But it was just getting that last hurdle, that first hurdle done.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, how difficult was that last hurdle for you? Did I just get over it and I think, no, well, this is enough now. I'm going to release it as it is right now. Because
it was pretty hard, but I'm really thankful to my producer and friend, my good friend Jordan Brown. Shout out to Jordan Brown. He's an amazing bass player, mastering and producer, and also I want to really thank Jimmy Palagrossi, who played the drums, and he's absolute godly on the drums. He's unbelievable. But the thing is, me and Jordan, we spoke on a couple of, like, you know, Skype chats, you know, talking about production stuff, and he was the one who said to me, he was that voice that I needed to say, I think this is good, mate. You know, I think we should just, because otherwise you're just going to be, you know, the cogs are going to be spinning or whatever. So I'm really thankful to him to helping me getting over that last hurdle. Otherwise, I don't think it would have taken me a lot longer, at least, to get over it. So but it's great. But
that's brilliant. Because it's so true that you need that kind of other voice to say this is good enough as it is now.
Exactly.
I mean, how did you meet them? Was it like through band work, through music, or like
actually
search for them?
Well, so at university, I knew this very nice guy who's in a very successful band called the Jack Hutchinson Band. His name's Felipe. He's the drummer for them, and we were at uni together. We're studying. We're still really good friends. And way back, like a few years ago, when I wanted to do the more traditional blues stuff, I wanted to say, and I said, I need a bass player and a producer. And he says, I know just the guy, and it was Jordan. And unfortunately, I came to the realization that I can't sing. So what I did is I changed paths and I went to the more progressive metal side. And but I realized that Jordan was still very much up to the task to do it. And then we just stayed in contact. So it was literally all from a friend at university, Felipe, who put me in touch with him. And, you know, it's a traditional networking thing. You know, a person who knows a person. And honestly, it's one of the best connections I've had. Honestly, we work together really well. He's a great guy. And then it was actually through Jordan where I met Jimmy, because he just said, I need a drummer. And he says, again, I know a guy who can do this for you. And it's so weird because with Jimmy, I've never met him in person. Like we've only talked on the phone and, you know, whatever, sending messages to whatever. But there's this chemistry that, you know, that it doesn't matter what I send him, he will just smash it and then say, there you go, and I'll be like, that's it. I'm not even going to touch it. So I'm really thankful for Felipe to put me in touch with Jordan, and I'm very thankful to Jordan for many reasons, but as well as putting me in touch with Jimmy, who I couldn't think of anybody else to do the parts. It's amazing.
That is amazing, because like listening to the track again recently, it was amazing. Honestly, it's incredible. I mean, what was the process of going through making it then? Was it like, did you start with the idea, or someone else made the idea, then you bring it together? How did it all work for you?
Well, basically, I started off listening to a lot of the sort of artists that I like in the kind of genre that I want to get into. And I took a couple of inspirations from them in terms of like what tuning they did, and then what I did was I then just started messing around with some chord progressions or whatever, just for hours and hours and hours, just putting it on a loop. And then upon listening back, I picked out a couple of things like, oh, that's quite cool. I'll try and develop it. So then you just start with this tiny little riff idea, and then you start expanding upon it. Mainly, it starts with like a guitar riff or a bass line, and then I would either sing or just play or improvise a melody over the top, and then I think of the rhythm before that. That's pretty much how they both came about. It's just, I know most people they use a keyboard or a piano, which is a beautiful way of doing it, but I'm not that proficient on it as you are. So I have to do it on the guitar. But yeah, that's my process. Yeah,
amazing. And where can people get this song now? What's it called as well, for those that might not know
it's called the first one is called Last Dance, and the second one is called Last Stand. I know, extremely original. It's but they're on Spotify, Apple Music. You just type Annie Savvides, and they should both come up on any platform. They're also on YouTube as well, and Amazon and TikTok and all the platforms. Yeah,
that's amazing.
I'm trying to be trendy, yo.
Trendy, yo.
Trendy, yo.
Yeah. How do you find like using social media to promote things like TikTok and Insta and all that kind of stuff? How do you find using those?
It's honestly it's a double-edged sword, isn't it? Because one time it's brilliant to. It's a brilliant way to try and find your audience, but at the same time, it can be quite difficult to break the mold of so many talented people who are doing the same thing that you are. And the idea behind it is what I use it for is just to try and improve my own personal production skills, or just practicing, or actually being in front of a camera and playing, because like it's been great, it's been interesting, but it's definitely the way forward for most independent artists, and to use social media to the best of their ability. It's like it's a necessary evil, I think.
Yeah, true.
Yeah.
I mean, do you have any personal favorites out of those that you use?
Well, as out the platforms, I gotta say, I think Instagram seems to be the one that I've gravitated towards the most. Obviously, I watch a lot more YouTube than I actually put things up on there, but I want to make that a little bit. I want to put a lot more stuff up on YouTube, but I'm saving up to get some better cameras and lights and things, because that, as you know, like if your videos don't look good, first of all, then so you got to have quite high production value. But yeah, Instagram is quite nice because it's it's quite simple, it's easy to operate, and it's it's easy to target the specific audience that you want to go to. So yeah, Instagram is my
nice. And talk about YouTube and stuff. Like, would you ever become like a YouTuber, like doing music through there as well, like becoming a proper YouTuber?
Yeah, do you know, because a lot of the guys I listen to or look at, they demo for companies. They like say, oh, the companies contact them and say, here's a new amp. Would you mind just doing a video on it? And they show the features of it, how it sounds, and then what they do is they write a small little a song or a piece of music with that particular piece of equipment, and then they say, oh, it sounds great, or they say, oh, it's not really for me, but from other people. It's a review, basically.
Yeah.
And I would love to do that kind of stuff and have these connections with these companies, because like the dream is obviously to have the studio and a nice desktop and speakers and amps all over the place, and pedals and all that. So it's I would love to do that. I think it'd be really, really cool, and also to use it for promoting original material and music videos and all the usual music stuff. But yeah, absolutely. I would love to.
I can see that really suiting you, actually. You know, like demoing stuff. I can see that really suiting you doing that. Honestly, it'd be amazing. I mean, have you looked into it as well? Like, you mean going to like, obviously shows are opening up now slowly as well. But have you thought about going to shows as well, like doing like demoing stuff there as well for products?
Do you know what? I would love to go to NAMM. Just in America, but another one, it's America, so it's quite a way. But that is pretty much like a huge. It's the biggest show for that, for gear and meeting guitarists and other musicians and YouTubers who are quite influential on me. So that's a really cool one to do. And I also love to go to the Larvik Festival in Norway, because it's in this, like, I've seen vlogs and people who go there, and it's beautiful mountains, like it's all snow-capped mountains, and it's a beautiful area, and it's just a place where guitarists just go, and you don't feel like you're a nerd, you just feel like you're part of a family, do you know?
Of course.
It's brilliant. So I'd love to do I'll have to go to shows like that. Absolutely.
It's amazing. And like, what's that kind of like the dream kind of setup for you in terms of like guitars, amp? Because you got some amazing guitars right now. Like, what's like the dream guitar for you to own?
Oh, blimey!
On the spot now.
Oh, do you know what? It changes, but at the moment, I've actually pretty much got it, because it's this one. This is the Chapman ML3 Beer Karthus. He named it after Dark Souls because it's a huge Dark Souls.
Oh,
fan.
really?
This thing's awesome. This is an absolute beast of a guitar, and it's burl maple, so it's got a lovely burl top, and it's all satin finish, so it's nice and smooth. And that's my favorite guitar as it stands. And I would love, do you know what? I love it so much. I was going to buy another one.
Two of the same one.
Just two of the same one, but just have it in different tunings, because I love it that much. But like, I would love to play that guitar through a 100-watt Victory Kraken head and a 412 cabinet, like you see on stage, the huge cabinets. They sound meaty.
I know.
So yeah, that's the dream, with a huge pedal board. But fortunately, Neural DSP, shout out to Neural DSP, came up with one of the best things, and I'm not endorsed by them at all. I'm a consumer, but this thing, the Quad Cortex, is honestly, it's everything that a home recording guitarist, bassist, even vocalist for that matter needs, because it's really, really cool. And you can get like all those amps that I was just talking about, you can basically turn them into virtual copies of themselves.
Oh wow.
And put them on top of there, so you can run like rigs that would cost £10,000 pounds, or $20,000 or whatever, just to buy, and you can just have them in your desk, and they sound phenomenal.
Is it like an emulation sort of thing, where like
basically it's a
sound,
modeler? Absolutely, yeah. So it's like they capture the sounds, the actual amps, they plug them in, and then the science and magic happens, and then they turn it into digital versions of themselves, and they sound awesome.
That's amazing.
And it's not just the sound, but it's the feel, because like difference, I suppose, between playing weighted keys and a normal key. When they may sound good, but if it's not weighted like a normal piano, you kind of feel this sort of feel a bit fakey. But like having weighted keys and having the response from this through the studio monitors, it sounds pretty close to identical to playing through a normal amp. And I mean, just sitting in a room having this kind of, that's the one beautiful thing about technology now, is that you can do this kind of stuff.
Of course. There's some software for production side, as as well, that they literally emulate the sounds exactly how they like old school organs that people love, two strings, and like Spectrasonics, for instance, and those sort of things. They're incredible with what they do. Like they get like literally every kind of stand. I mean, when I was big into productions, I was using Hollywood strings for a little while.
Yes.
And even like the breathing sounds of the musicians, you can hear like little like that, or when you press it, like what I can actually hear like dropping their sticks or their bows, like every little detail to be like painstakingly gotten onto the recording. It's amazing. And my old computer can't handle it anymore. but that's what I think, when you play like a couple of strings, like it can't handle it no more. Like damn. But the sounds are incredible, and when you hear that played back to you live as well afterwards, like, this is amazing. It's so good. But talk about that thing. Do you have any like kind of personal favorite settings of your all personal amps through that you really love?
Well, there's this I really like sort of really crunchy sort of pushed clean kind of stuff. So it's not like a it's like, even though I love that stuff, but when I'm vibing, I do like having just a little bit of gain and a delay and a reverb, so you just get this nice sort of wide stereo. And I run two different amps, one of them panned hard to the right and then one of them panned hard to the left. And one of them is a Marshall JVM 410, I believe, and then the other one's a PV 5150. So and I blend those together. That's quite a popular mix. But I also love using the SLO 100 and the Kraken Victory.
I heard about the Kraken,
the Kraken. And the thing is, those amps, that not only if you just turn the gain down, you get this really nice. A mate described the sound to me the other day. Actually, he said that he called it like smoke or like smoldering, because it's not quite fire yet.
Yeah,
but it's just burning away, and it's just like nice and gritty. But then if you just turn the volume up or turn the gain up or boost it, you get this humongous wailing sound out of it.
Yeah.
So yeah, that's what I love to do for like rhythm stuff. Yeah,
that's
like,
mad. Are you able to actually mix, like, say, two amps together then through that? So like the Marshall and the Kraken together. That's mad.
Exactly. Yeah, you can sum them. So you can there's multiple ways of doing it. So you can like run a mono signal with both amps completely dead straight, or you can run a mono signal then split them stereo, which is what I do. So it's just one input and then a splitter that goes to the left and right, and then you blend the two amps together. And you create a really cool stereo wide sound, which is what you really, really like to do on stage. You know, it's like having two guitarists. But
that's mad. I mean, like, obviously a lot of the time you probably realize as well, like a lot of things happen by accident. I mean, have you found any settings complete by accident thinking, oh my god, that actually sounds amazing?
Yes, I have.
Really,
because like, you know, you're probably like yourself, like when you're first starting out, you don't know, how does a compressor work, or what does this dial do, and you just like, you go to the extremes and then you kind of find a middle ground what you'd like. I found like putting a low and a high cut EQ on a sort of lead sound, you get this really nice sort of warm articulate vocal sound. So, and it's like one of those sounds where when you hold a note and then it just naturally goes into a harmonic, it kind of just starts singing. It's just lovely. So I kind of found that out by accident. I was like, oh, I like this. This is cool.
And you said you can't sing. That was amazing. Okay, you can't sing.
No, I can't sing.
That's amazing though, and talk about accent as well though. When I was producing a chat with my friend of mine, Kevin Grist, actually had in the podcast, a wicked guy. I think I told you already that obviously we're both massive soundtrack fans, massive. And there was I can't remember the actual sound now. It's been a while since I've used it, or the track name, but there's a sound that I played, and it's from the Mad Max from Junkie XL. Yeah, and I played like the middle C, like do. What the hell? That's from Mad Max. And like, literally just like nothing changed. Like that was just that one. So like, you cheeky bastard.
I know.
I thought it was like next level, like tweaking and rewind. So like, doom. Oh, that soundtrack is so sick.
It's amazing. But if that we have a shared love of you know, music and video game soundtracks. It's you know, it's absolutely amazing.
Yeah. Is that still the dream of yours? Yeah, go on, sorry.
No, I was just saying, like, it's where most of the most talented composers are now. Doing video games and movies, you know.
Exactly.
It's unbelievable.
And to think or even like up until recently, people didn't think of it as important, did they? Like, didn't want to get into it until recently. Like, video game composing, what the hell?
I know.
But you show them tracks, like you talk about Dark Souls a minute ago, and then you got that from that to obviously the Doom soundtrack. And going back to Halo, Metal Gear Solid, even back like years before that, like even the Mario soundtracks, like still get used today. Like, people don't realize how good soundtracks actually are from games until you actually go, that's from a game.
Yep.
And like you said, that's where everyone's kind of moving into now, because look at the amount of people around the world that play games as well now. How much it is invested and how play people around the world that play games as well now. How much it is invested and how much bigger it's got now as well. I mean, they got like whole events now just for games, like game music.
Exactly. Yeah.
And have you ever been to like a VGM event, like video game music event?
I only went to not a video game music event, but
Yeah.
I went to it was a show in London. I went with my brother Stefan.
Yeah.
And I think we went to. I think it was called Insomnia or something. And they had. I think they had one of the. They had like an award for the best. Soundtrack of that year, and I forget which game it was. It was a while ago, but yeah. I love to watch the because I watched when Doom won it, and I was so happy that Doom won it.
Same.
And you saw that you had Mick Gordon and Matt Halpern from Periphery on the drums, and they were playing it live. I think it was 2019 or something.
Ooh.
And it's an amazing video, and it's just to see people just headbanging to metal. Like it's just like yes, I love that. Yeah, and so yeah, absolutely, I love that kind of stuff. And Mick Gordon's my favorite. He's my favorite composer. Yeah.
He's definitely one of mine. Well, such an epic composer, man. He's so good.
I know, and he's so chill as well. Like he just he's like in interviews, he's just like, "Yeah, man, yeah, I could do that. Yeah, sure. I can show you how to do this. Yeah, absolutely." It's like, how can you be so nice and so talented at the same time? It's annoying.
You're someone like that, though.
Oh god. So
oh god, thank you. But it's so funny because I just completed before the housework was coming on. I just completed Doom Eternal, and every time flipping
no. The only thing they feel is you. Yeah. The only thing they feel
every
is you.
time that came on, I went nuts. I was just doing this the whole time. I died. It's like, fuck off.
You just want to headbutt a wall, don't you? It's just like,
I remember when I was texting you going, I'm getting it from playing right now, I became sick, and you said to me, just wait until later on. It gets
just wait until later on. It gets absolutely crazy. Like the latter levels are absolutely insane. They just throw everything at you at once. You're like, oh, thanks, game.
Yeah, you were right. But I remember there's one bit that drove me nuts. Like I got through it pretty all right. But you know that boss, the angel boss near the end?
The Khan Maker.
Yeah.
Yes.
Oh my god, that drove me nuts.
She's insane.
I spent so long on beating her. Not as bad as the Valkyrie, the last Valkyrie from God of War, but still.
Oh, bad enough.
Yeah. But remember when I told you that I stopped playing God of War for over a year because of the large Valkyrie. I couldn't beat her. And then you told me you beat her. Like, yeah, I beat her. I was like, okay.
Yeah, I beat her. Yeah, okay.
Cool. And I beat her.
Inspiration.
You were my inspiration. You told me you beat her. I just spoke to my mate Mehmet. Shout out to Mehmet Rife, by the way, as well. Wicked, basically to the orchestra as well. He told me a big good. I beat him. I was like, you know what? I've got to beat him, man. So literally,
never give up. My time is now.
Yeah. So like literally 3 days after work, I'd come home, eat, gym, come back. Okay, it's time. Let's try again for like literally 3 days straight for hours. I just try and beat him. And literally, you know when the R3 comes up, like the final attack, R3 comes like, yes, and then, finish. But I thought I was gonna ruin it because I think I told you I was doing like they call a chain move, whatever, like what do you call it? Just like, and then it's like
Blades of Chaos.
Yeah, it's one of those moves like Blades of Chaos. I kept going for it, like, oh, please don't ruin it. After he grabbed her, killed her, I was like, oh my god, yes.
I think you're just like, New Game Plus, let's do it all over again.
Yeah, saying that though, when I did it the second time around out, I beat her like almost straight away. It's like, all right. Yeah. Like a couple new moves, but I was like, okay, figured out quickly, beat her, like, yes. But that's why I love soundtracks as well, though, because it makes everything so much better there, doesn't it?
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, that's why I was teaching the kids as well, talk about soundtracks. Like, before I was showing them like sounds from like different games and films and stuff. And okay, before like showing them like the video clip and whatever, the clip from the film or the game, I was saying like, how does it? Okay, let's describe this music here. How does it make you feel and why? Like, oh, and they'll like give me like different ideas, like amazing ideas. Oh, this makes me happy. This makes me sad. This is fast. This is loud. Like, okay, if I told you this was from like. This like, oh wow, I didn't think of that. That's amazing.
Exactly.
And yeah, and even like with the game music, as you probably know as well, where you show like different soundtracks to like our parents or the older generation, like stunning, that's beautiful, that music.
Yeah.
And you play like some again like, oh wow, I didn't realize it's from that.
Exactly.
There we go. That's what we love it so much.
What was the first like sort of soundtrack, film or video game that really like hooked you onto that kind of stuff?
I think it was Metal Gear Solid, the first one.
Yeah.
That was like the first, well, one of the first. I was obsessed with games as I was younger, as you know, obsessed. And I think that game, because I've always been into like big films, like I always call these sort of games like interactive films, where
they are. Yeah,
I love these kind of like film-esque games where like God of War, the Metal Gear Solids to Uncharted to whatever it might be. Not so much Uncharted, but I love those games. But you know what I mean, like those big epic games.
Yeah.
And I remember that was the first game I completed 8 times. Like, I was obsessed with that. I knew every secret, every cheat. But I remember there's the soundtrack is not from number 4 where they play like the old band theme, which I love as well. Wicked soundtrack as well. Harry Gregson Williams, by the way, another wicked composer. Him and Father Rupert as well, both amazing composers. But I think from the first, I don't remember the guy's name though, but they actually reused it in number 4 when you go back to Shadow Moses. Like that when it's like the like female singing voice, like, oh my god, this like made me feel so emotional.
I know.
Oh my god. And when you go back to Shadow Moses, they play, they get like, oh my god, it'll come back again.
It's like, oh, the feels.
All the feels. That's why I loved it, because like I said, that was the first game that properly got me hooked for years on gaming. Like that game right there, I loved it. And to go back to it many years later, like, oh my god, this is where it all started, right here. It's like, this is where it all started. And so I think that was the first one. And obviously, everyone knows like the Tetris theme as well. Obviously, Mario. But it's so. But how sick is it though? Like, games we've grown up for as little kids are still being used now, like 30, 40 years later. How mad is that?
Well, absolutely. It's like, and another, I know we keep going back to Doom, like, but like, you know, even back in the day, you know, when it was like just the 8-bit version, and it's just become such a staple of video games, like also like the Mario, everybody knows the Mario theme. Come on, it's like, but I think like the first one for me was, it's got to be Halo, because I remember going. I was
about to say that,
going into. I mean, we always used to. It's quite a fun memory. It's like whenever we used to go to Cyprus during the holidays, and my cousin on my mum's side was very, very into Halo, and we used to play it all the time. And it was just hearing that.
Yeah.
It was like that became ingrained in my head.
Yeah.
And to this day I listen to the like Halo 2 and 3, even Reach. Like Reach had some beautiful music in there, and I listen to them regularly. It's beautiful. And there's this video on YouTube, like everyone should check this out, by the way. If you love like Halo or any kind of video game music at all, check out, it's Steve Vai and Nile Rodgers with is it Martin O'Donnell?
I've seen this, I've seen it. Martin O'Donnell, the composer,
the composer, and they're in the studio, and he's playing and Steve Vai's playing the shredded rhythmic solo over it's brilliant. And Nile Rodgers is like sitting like 2 feet away from him, like edging him on, going, "Go on, mate, do a bit more, like go crazy with it." And it's so awesome. Check it out if you haven't seen it already.
I will do. Actually, still not seeing like sort of vinyl is that. It's like watching Mick Gordon compose "Rip and Tear." We've got the first ever kind of like gothic choir. Rip and tear, like that. Like, I think this is insane, and you at the end of the only thing it feels you, which is still one of my favorite tracks of all time. I use it in the gym actually to work out, but you got that. Obviously, BFT Division, Nuts, Meat Hook. Maybe nice names, but
they're very beautiful. Do you know, it's going to be my first dance at my wedding.
Meat Hook.
Meat Hook. Flesh and metal.
And obviously, was it is it Vega Core as well? I'd never heard a dirtier drop than that. It's the bass is like, Jesus, headphones.
It's insane.
But I just love it. And I talk about the soundtracks as well that I could talk about forever. You see, I could never pronounce the name of it, but one of my favorite tracks of all time from Batman, I think Begins or Rises. One I'm showing on piano or both now is Coronavirus or something.
Right.
Sounds like coronavirus, basically. Based on things sort of name. But it's
yeah.
But it's one of those tracks that makes you want to cry when you hear it.
Yeah.
And when we heard it again on Batman Begins after, because I was going through with that book you lot bought me actually for Christmas years ago, I think my birthday or Christmas, which I've just destroyed. I loved it so much. Thank you again for that. I loved it.
That's all right, absolutely.
Yeah, it's like obviously Hans Zimmer's my favorite composer of all time, of the modern era. Chopin for the more romantic. But I was going through the pieces of that book actually of what to learn next. I started off with the obvious like Lion King, Gladiator, both 6 soundtracks.
Gladiator,
yeah, and I couldn't quite remember this track, so I listened on YouTube and straight away I went da, 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 like that's the one right there. I checked it out and immediately it's like oh. But you know when you listen to a track, it's like it makes your hairs like stand on edge.
Absolutely,
it's like raw.
Yeah,
and that's why like even like when we were like, growing up, but like I wanted to, this is like what I wanted to get into. I didn't quite realize it until like when I was 17, where I mentioned before in the podcast before, like mine and other people's, where when I was into my second year of composing at college, where I probably production and composing was like one that I was like a new kind of entry into the syllabus, and I was going to get into production now, and as soon as I sat down like with podcasting, as soon as the minute I started doing it, probably like this is it. This is my other calling, like production. And I didn't realize it because even I've mentioned this before as well. Like one of my dad's old staff members called David got me this is years ago when I was like 5, 6, maybe 7-ish age. Around that sort of age, like really young, maybe a little bit older, but he got a piece of software called Dance EJ, which is still a software that he's like Dance EJ and other bits, like same software, but obviously updated and obviously. And you can make your own tracks using like pre-made samples. And I think, oh my God. And if I tell you, I was obsessed. I would spend, finish school, come back, and literally spend hours upon hours just making my own tracks. And I thought that's how music was made. Like, I didn't obviously know back then. I thought that's how tracks were made. Like, oh, these are all, that's like a game. Like, you make pre-made samples and make your own track. Yeah. And it wasn't until obviously years later, where like in school and then college, where you would obviously use properly made software to like either like so like guitar, or for those that don't know, piece of equipment called a MIDI keyboard, like this one, where you, for those that don't understand, if you want to get technical, musical instrument digital interface, which basically what the hell are you talking about, man? I need a little lesson, right? It's these sort of things where you plug into a laptop and it basically acts like a kind of like a communication tool, so you can play the software on you can play the sound on the software to record those different sounds. And it wasn't until like college where you actually do that. I was like, oh, this is how they're properly made in. And it's just obsessed with like making music, and that's what I want to get into. And talk about Junkie X. So I think I told you already, didn't I? Where I got offered to do a film.
Yes.
Yeah, I think. But for those that don't know, though, I got offered to do a film soundtrack for the first time. I went to a networking event. I asked the guy, they're like, "How'd you get into film? Like soundtrack?" He gave us a wicked advice, actually. Glenn Cathal, actually, wicked guy. Shout out to Glenn. He actually, about a week or two, about say 2 weeks later, I gave my name and number and email to him. And about 2 weeks later, he dropped me an email saying, "Hi George, hope you're okay. But I remembered what you said to me at the event, and we've actually got a brand new film coming up. Do you want to do it?" I was like, yep. I don't think I've ever replied so quick in my life. I literally, yes, I'm on it. So I was working on the track. I was like, you know what? Obviously, the first editions of tracks never get chosen unless like a instant. So, but the film was called Kill Your Friends. And he said because it's like quite a dark film, as is known by the title of the film, that because we want kind of like a dark drum and bass kind of track. Never done drum and bass before in my life, but I'm also obviously, as you know, I'm more like the classical hip hop kind of sound with with the orchestra, but I would get samples from literally everything. Like actually, one of the samples I got was from Crawling. You know, in the song Crawling from Linkin Park, I think it's in the video version where it's like a little, like a water going down the sink sound, like that kind of sound. And it goes into do 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 do. I use that sink sound as part of the video. I worked really well, and it came out brilliantly. And I said, "Oh, this is wicked. We love this. Let's try this now." And obviously tweaked it to there. We've gone really well. And out of the blue, he goes, "Oh, by the way, we've now got Junkie XL for the soundtrack."
Mm.
No,
it's annoying, isn't it?
Yeah. And funny thing was, about a year or two later, when the film came out, I think I told you already, where I think I was going for a night out somewhere or meeting someone down London. I got off the train, and right in front of me was a poster for Kill Your Friends. I thought, oh, that's the film that I was working on. No.
Oh no.
But
it's like, yeah, it's not fun.
It's not fun. But I think I've seen things for a while now. I think games are taking over films now.
Absolutely. Yeah. To be honest, it's like, I mean, I think I've heard somewhere that it's the video game industry is like, it's the biggest industry on earth right now. Which is unbelievable.
It is.
And it's, I mean, there was a point where I did want to go into like video game composing or just composing in general, but I realized that, yeah, that's quite scary actually.
Yeah,
like, I mean, because I remember Mick Gordon was talking about like, he was doing a like a masterclass or a show about how he came up with getting the Doom soundtrack to print or whatever. And he said, like, he was saying about when they first told him like what the brief was, and he just says, and they said to him, "Okay, Mick, we want a soundtrack that's pays homage to the original, that everybody will like, and that will fit the game aesthetic completely." Like, and he said, and he goes, "My first reaction was to go into the bathroom and sob for about 2.5 hours. After that, I came out and I said, okay, how am I supposed to do something that everybody will love and will instantly be a classic and also pays homage to the original?" It's like, And then after I heard that, I was like, I couldn't even get past that hurdle, man. I mean, that is the mental resolve of these composers, that what they have to, and they knowing that it's going to be bought by literally millions of people, and it's going to be, you know, printed forever. It will be there forever, and you cannot afford to make any mistakes. It's just like, I would rather stick to just my little own own world, you know, in a box like this. Just like.
But how funny when they were saying actually not to include guitar as well in the track though. Like, don't put guitar in there, but it's like the main thing.
Are you insane? Are you insane? Are you nuts? Like, do you even gent, bro? Like, come on. Like, how can you have Doom without a guitar? Are you serious? It's like having Rome without chariots. Like, we want to have a Colosseum like reenactment, but you're not allowed to use chariots. Okay.
It's so true. I was talking to a couple of wicked composers like Kenny Young and Michael Quine actually on the podcast. Wicked, amazing guys, wicked composers. Well, shout out to them as well. I'll get into like how they got into it and kind of the behind the scenes stories, and even things like, which I forgot about actually. I was asking Michael actually about, you know, in like certain areas of games where obviously the music loops until you like figure that area out and move on.
Yeah.
And I've forgotten again how it works, but I think it's just like a piece of software that obviously keeps it going. But I need to actually get into that again. But it's just so interesting, and so interesting how it all works behind the scenes, isn't it? About music behind the scenes, and then, like you said, it's like the biggest thing in the world now. I mean, like, look at Call of Duty, for instance, over 1 billion players a year playing that. Yeah. And I never listened until recently, actually, where I listened to the Happy Hour podcast, and they had a big FIFA player on there, and they were actually talk about saying things like, why is like FIFA basically like same every single year now? Which it is. Like, being like, so they get a year now on the same thing. And he was saying it's because of Ultimate Team. Like, for those that don't know, I still don't know myself properly, but I think when you buy a player to make your own team, basically like pay to win, basically. And people spend like hundreds and something thousands a year on this game. And do you know how much they get a year from just that alone? Ultimate Team.
It's something ridiculous, like 2 billion or something a year. It's
over £1 billion a year they get from that, just from that. And
it's disgusting.
I mean, I think that's on one game. just one game.
Or one aspect of a game.
Yeah, one aspect of a game.
They got Madden. They've also got like NBA, and like, they've all got the same stuff in it. It's absolutely insane.
Yeah, I mean, talking about EA, like obviously they own both Madden and FIFA. Just an example.
Yeah.
You know the guy that goes EA Sports, isn't the game? Obviously the classic. You know he didn't get paid for that.
I did not know that. Seriously?
Yeah, he did it for free for a mate of his. And because I love hearing these like behind the scenes stories. I just love stories in general, right?
Yeah.
But I love hearing like the business side of things as well, like how it all worked. And the guy goes, "Yeah, a friend of mine was working on Electronic Arts, EA, or a product, whatever it was." He goes, could you come over to Canada to do it? He's in America. I got to pay for your ticket. Come over and could you do it for free? Basically, he goes, "Yeah, I'll do that for you, no problem." And because I did it for free, thought nothing of it. And then obviously soon after, that's when like FIFA was coming out and Madden. And God, if he just got even just a little bit of a percentage of what he did from that, that's his life sorted, isn't it? Jesus, I mean,
exactly.
You're thinking of the whole world knows, basically, in the gaming world at least. Everyone knows your voice. EA Sports.
EA Sports.
It's in the game. The whole world knows who you are, right? You did it for free. Like, oh my god! I think I'll kill myself. If I knew that, I didn't pay attention. Oh my god! I didn't take a percentage of that, but that's why you got to be so careful with literally everything. I mean, because you never know. You never know what's going to blow up. I mean, I've talked to so many amazing people about literally in their business within art, film, music, whatever it might be. And even they said, like, we don't know what works. Like, we don't know. I mean, something that you think would be like the best idea ever might not work. And then vice versa, something that you would hate actually goes on to be amazing. You just don't know. No. But you just learn just to be so careful with everything. I mean, whether it's getting an upfront payment or getting a percentage of something or something, you've got to be so careful. And I think a lot of people get scared of saying, like, I want a percentage in that, of like losing that thing. But to think that, for instance, this guy, I don't know his name, but to think he did it for free and didn't get a dime from that, yet billions of copies have been sold, millions and billions a year.
Every single time you boot up that game, you hear his voice. It's like, it's crazy. Yeah,
I think I get like PTSD from that. Him like, no, I don't want to hear that. I've got to walk out of the room.
Yeah, I know. I just think about how much money I lost out on. Yeah, that's. Yeah, not ideal.
It's not ideal. It's like another one where who else was saying this to you recently, where I think it's like one of the founders, or he was like a big basically like the third guy in Apple. I think you know this story as well, where I think he's like a founder of like one of the founders of it, like the third guy that no one really knows about, or basically he's like a big part in like the creation of Apple. And he sold his share in Apple at the time for like $800 or something, or give or take. Might be less than that. And yeah.
Oh, well, no, I don't think any more words are needed on that. Apple were like the first $1 trillion company, so it's like, oh damn, I sold my shares for $800.
I was mad. And oh my god, when you hear these stories as well, like another one I heard, what else did I hear? Oh, this is why I love reading books as well. I think I told you this one before, about Toy Story 2, different kind of scenario. About the title of the chapter was a special code. Obviously, I know nothing about coding, obviously, but the title of the chapter was this code, and the first line was, our first 2 lines were saying, when you input this code, it wipes off the whole system. I thought, oh god, what's going to say now? So there's a chapter, and it was saying something like 9 weeks before Toy Story 2 was meant to be released, like literally like a few weeks before, one of the programmers or one of the producers accidentally put in this code, and it wiped the whole system, like everything. Oh, no. Literally 9 weeks before it was meant to be released. And talk about luck, right? One of the producers, who was heavily pregnant at the time, she took her computers back with her. She used to work from home, but she was like heavily pregnant. And they called her up saying, I don't know her name, but she got like, say Sue, for instance, like, Sue, bit of a problem, such and such put in a code and actually wipes off the whole system. I mean, could we come to yours and pick up the files? Like, yes, goes, yes, that's fine. So they went to hers, drove all the way to hers. Wow. Picked up her computer like a little baby, like this, like don't like this, like a little baby. to go all the way to about to studio. Luckily, she had everything like up to that point.
Wow.
And obviously, they took it off there, put it on hard drives. Oh, talk about hard drives as well. Talk about unlucky but lucky. Obviously, like such a big company like Pixar, Disney, they've got like backups for backups, right? Backups for days.
Yes.
All their backups crashed as well. They got like a special room just for like massive external hard drive units, if you like a room, and that crashed as well. Literally, because they thought, oh, it's pretty cool, it's fine, we've got backups for it, but their backup crashed as well. I thought, oh god, she had the last copy, so they brought like a little baby back to the studios, rebooted it all up, carried on, and Toy Story 2 was there for us to see. but another story
in all of its glory.
Exactly, I love the Toy Story. Well, I'll talk about Buzz Lightyear. Toy Story. They're making, as of this recording, they just released the new Buzz Lightyear trailer, haven't they? Like a solo film.
I need to think. I see that. I haven't seen it yet.
Yeah,
I haven't seen anything about it. No.
Yeah, I haven't seen it. I literally just saw this now on social media as I was recording. So it's like 2 weeks before it came out. But it's a solo Buzz Lightyear film now.
Wow.
Yeah, and it's not Tim Allen doing the voice. It's Chris Evans, Captain America.
Is it?
Yeah, apparently so. Oh, yeah, he's in the voice of Buzz Lightyear, which is what I heard a little while ago. But I think they should have stopped after number 3, though. Personally, the Toy Story.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think so. Like, I mean, the fourth one was like obviously had that very. Was it the third one I'm talking about? Yeah, so it is the third one. Yeah, the third one kind of had that sort of nice sort of ending, didn't it?
Yeah.
It was like, oh god, what's going to happen? You know, and then it's actually, okay, all right. It's a bit sad, but you know, we can kind of deal. I can deal with that. I never saw the fourth one, just out of principle, actually. I think, but but to be honest, just talking about like the music in that, I think it's catchy, man.
Of course, I love it.
It's like, you know,
a friend in
me. Exactly. It's like
I love it.
That's become like a cultural icon in and of itself, you know.
Exactly. I know.
It's brilliant.
It is. And off the top of your head, then, before we like kind of move on from that, or we probably won't move on because I love it too much. But what would you say are like some of your, say, maybe top 3 or top 5 favorite soundtracks from games and also films as well, if you had to pick?
So like 3 games and 3 films, or
like 3 games, 3 films and 3 games, like 3 separate.
Okay, so video games, it's got to be Doom, like the remake of Doom. It's Halo, and do you know what? It's really tight between the Mass Effect,
wicked soundtrack,
and Metal Gear, like yourself. I think like video games. In films, I mean, I've got to be careful because, like, from nostalgic and just my nerdy side, I think Star Wars is a masterpiece. But I mean, that could just be that is just me, but it is fantastic as well. But yeah, so it's got to be Star Wars. I think, obviously, Gladiator is amazing. And do you know what? A bit of a curveball. I love Sherlock Holmes.
Wicked soundtrack, Hans Zimmer again.
Honestly, that is a lot of Hans Zimmer. Yeah, it's just John Williams and Hans Zimmer. There are only 2 composers, John Williams and Hans Zimmer. Yeah. So we need a very good film composer. Is John Williams available? No. Is Hans Zimmer available? Yeah. Okay, it's fine.
Let's get him in.
Let's get him in. Yeah. So I mean, I remember he played when we went to see Hans Zimmer, and he played. I was about to say Holmes. That. Yeah, and you know, we just heard that dun 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 dun, and I was like, yes. I think it's fantastic. It gets me so pumped. I love that soundtrack. It's brilliant.
Same.
Yeah, so it's got to be probably that lot.
Yeah. How funny was I was about to say the Hans Zimmer event we went to was so good. How funny was it when he started off with just like his band in fun, like playing like trying mistakes, like loving obviously, but then thinking, is that it?
Yeah.
Suddenly the curtains were up, the whole orchestra in choir. I was like, yes, that's what I'm talking about. Loved it. But I remember I told you, didn't I, about obviously about 2 years ago before COVID hit, where tried getting a few tickets for John Williams. And okay, I went to go buy a few tickets for all of us to go to it again, like at least a few tickets, me, you, family, and everything.
Absolutely.
Yeah, and I was in a queue for an hour and a half for that. Not obviously physically, but online, just waiting for the ticket because I took it at 9 o'clock. So I went online, bang, just before. So we went 9 o'clock. I was in the queue. I was in the queue behind something like 3,500 people or something, and I got to the top 50 after an hour and a half. I was like, yes, I'm about to get a ticket. Yes, sold out.
Yeah.
No. I've seen obviously Hans Zimmer. One of the best things I've ever been to. Like he's like my hero. So to see him live, it was just incredible. And seen Brian Tyler, another one of my heroes actually, who has spoken to a good few times actually since the last couple of years. Such a cool guy as well, though. Such an amazing guy, and we're trying to get him on the podcast. I'm still trying to get him on the podcast, Brian. but he's such a wicked guy, man, and he's like to do like Assassin's Creed, Black Flag to Iron Man.
Yes.
Oh my god, that's such a sick soundtrack as well. Black Flag, Assassin's Creed, such a wicked soundtrack.
Oh, honestly, it's brilliant. I think it's actually quite underrated, you know.
It is,
because people just say, "Oh, yeah, Assassin's Creed." It's a huge franchise, but
it is.
But Black Flags in particular, that one is. It's the best one. It's the best video game out of the whole franchise, and it's the best soundtrack.
Yeah.
So it's just like it's a win-win for that one. Yeah, absolutely.
Sure. I mean, I think for me, the last person to see live, that is alive, obviously, is John Williams, and because obviously, as everyone knows, or for those that don't actually know, he's like literally done every classic film soundtrack we can think of.
Every single one.
Yeah, like E.T. to Jaws to Star Wars, like you mentioned, to Indiana Jones, to Superman, Harry Potter. I mean, you think of a classic soundtrack is John Williams. I mean, to see that live. Obviously, I see that we've all seen like other people doing them live, but to see that the main guy do it live. Is what I remember. I watched one actually of Schindler's List that they dedicated to him actually in Vienna, and I think, if I'm not mistaken, I think the real life Schindler's granddaughter was actually in the audience watching it, and it was because that soundtrack is so powerful, so emotional, especially the story behind it. I mean, even when the musicians started crying halfway through the piece, it was that powerful. I was like, wow, and I was crying as well, and. That's just why I love music, and what I was saying before, I think we both said this a lot of times where we get so sad that music gets taken out of schools.
Yeah,
because it's not important enough. Like, are you mad? Like, it's like saves our lives basically. And
well, it's like when they say like it's kind of strange, but if you think about it, back in the 30s when they still had silent movies, they didn't have the voices, but the one thing that they did have was music. And it was always so music. It was there before people were even talking in films.
Yeah, it's so true.
So it's like so if you think like even take the Doom gameplay thing and whatever, you've turned the sound off or just have the gun sounds or just the ambience, which in and of itself are badass. Don't get me wrong.
Yeah.
But there's always there's something missing. There's a disconnect. Like it's so music is so integral to everything in life. It's everywhere. You walk into a shop, it's playing on the tannoy or whatever. It's in the car. It's in the shower when people are singing to themselves. You know, it's like it's everywhere. You can't escape it. And whether people are actively interested in it or when they say, "Yeah, I'm not really into music," whatever they can't say, "No, I've never heard music before."
Yeah,
it's
so
impossible.
True.
So and it's like and the fact that it's become such a staple in some of the biggest industries on the planet, i.e., film, video games, and just even the music industry, it's a cool thing. It's really, really nice to see. Yeah,
it is. I mean, I think with the game music, actually, where do you reckon actually the future of game music will actually be? Do you think it'll be like more accepted as well, or like even more courses? Because obviously the courses out there now for it, but what do you reckon the future of computer game music will be?
I think we're going to see a lot more. I mean, let's just say, I think we're going to see a lot more independent video game composers, because you can buy sound string libraries recorded from Abbey Road Studios and all these amazing orchestras. You can buy them for like 800 quid and you can get the sounds without the hundreds of thousands of pounds it will take to get these amazing musicians, which is a shame because it would always be amazing to have them play for real. But I think we're going to see a lot more people doing it from their homes, just on a computer, and just say, "There you go, here's an epic soundtrack for you." I think people are just going to churn them out like butter, which it's insane, but it's also a bit. It almost devalues it a little bit. You see what I mean? Because it's like it almost destroys the majestic nature of it. Like when you see Hans Zimmer and John Williams in the studio, and they're literally conducting hundreds of people on playing all these amazing instruments, and like, and the sound and the fact that, you know, a simpleton like me can just sit at a computer and just go, there you go.
Yeah.
I've created a, yeah.
Yeah.
It's, I mean, it's great, but it's also not great at the same time. It's like, you know, but the fact, the reason why it's great is that it gives people who don't have access to those vast amount of money, you know, let's be honest, most of us don't, and who have that kind of dream to want to compose stuff of that nature. But at the same time, it's a shame because a lot more real life musicians who play for a living, who require this kind of work, might be losing out on some of their income, which is also very sad. But at the same time, it could be like, I think a lot of work for musicians who play instruments or are very good at them are probably going to be, you know, hired to make sample libraries. You know, they're going to go into the studio and it'll be the same thing, but it's just, like I said before, it's such a cool thing to see people do it for real. But I think we're heading towards a time where it's not necessary.
Yeah.
Which is a shame.
Yeah. You know,
but I think there will always be a market for the studio musician, though. Always.
Of course,
because there are always people who want to do it for the just the experience of it. I want to get into the studio and I want to play it live and I want to see the you know, when you walk into the studio and you see that amazing desk with all the switches and you get the nice panels and the nice amps and it's all soundproofed and the lovely cans and all this. It's like, I want to do that, and I think everybody goes through that phase of wanting to do it for real.
Yeah.
That's where we're going to be.
Because I was saying earlier, like, it's like, especially with the graphics now of games, I know PCs are still better than consoles in a way, like graphics are unreal, but it's like games are interactive films now, aren't they? I mean, you're playing like a real like character now. It's mad. I mean, do you reckon in the future, crazy idea, that films and games would kind of collide somehow?
They were trying to do that many years ago. There was a game called
L.A. Noire?
It was L.A. Noire. Yeah, that's the closest you can get. But there's like it was called, what was it called? I think it wasn't Defiant. I think it was called Defiance. And what they did, it was an MMORPG, but along the side of it, they produced a television series that would affect the game, and then vice versa. So the actions of people in the game would affect what they wrote in the show, and what happened in the show would affect like an event in the game or something. It was a very brave concept. Unfortunately, it didn't work out very well. But it's been tried, and then more recently with the Xbox One release, like 7 years ago now, blimey. It was like they did the same thing with Quantum Break, where they had the game, but then they had the show that kind of ran alongside it. It was sort of telling certain story bits that you played through. But I think it would be awesome to see that like actually done to fruition. But like, as you say, because video games are kind of reached that film status, there's probably a side that says, is there any point in that? It's like, you know, because like you say, because you're like, you get these real actors who you see in films are now getting their likeness in video games. Like Far Cry 6, you got Giancarlo Esposito,
such a sick actor, by the way.
I know, a brilliant actor. He's amazing.
So sick.
Yeah, he's like, and you got his face now. You've got him in the video game. So I think we're going to see a lot more of that. To be honest, we're going to see a lot more real actors like playing, like PT. You know, we were going to get Norman Reedus. We were going to get Norman Reedus in Silent Hill, but like, and then
we got him in. What's that other game called?
Death Stranding.
Death Stranding, yeah.
Yeah, that's it. Yeah.
But I'm still pissed that we didn't got a PT, man.
I
know. But you know how mad it is? Like, people were selling their PS4s for thousands, weren't they, when it first came out? Because you know that, obviously, as you both know, a lot of us know that they cancelled the whole thing soon after that. But when they initially cancelled it, people were selling their PS4s for thousands, weren't they? Some of them online.
Absolutely, yeah. They were.
And oh my god, how amazing was that demo, though?
It's like, it's the best demo of a game
ever.
that never was, which is a shame.
Exactly. I mean, I can't lie, shit myself so hard now.
Well, that's the thing. Like, it's funny because talking about like music and that kind of stuff, it's interesting, isn't it? Because most of it was just sort of ambient,
Yeah.
like sort of stings and just like it's not music in the sense like it's got a melody and a chord progression and blah 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 blah, but it's still added to the whole experience. It's a similar thing with like Dead Space, you know, when it's a lot of the music are sound effects, and it's like it's twisted, it's visceral, and it's really unnerving. And it's like, and the fact that you can get scores and pieces of music like that can do it without the conventional melodies and chords and a nice voice and all this and all that and the other, which is lovely. But the fact that you can get that across with just like, you know, metal scraping on a, you know, on something or on a grate or something, it's just like it's just, it's like all the creaking steps. It's awesome. And that it was at its best during that playable trailer during PT. It was amazing. So scary.
So scary. It's like that's where a lot of people don't really think something called you know this, but Foley studios when that's when they call it the sound, like the actual like sound, if you will, like the footsteps or stand crunching or whatever it might be. But did you know this? I found this out a while ago that you know, like the punching sound, like Street Fighter and Mortal Kombat, those old school sound. The original sound was someone punching lettuce. You got to let them punch it. That's like that. It's like, what? That's bad.
It was like vegetable abuse. What did this lettuce do?
But I saw the one recently where the sound effect of like ripping someone apart on Mortal Kombat is actually ripping lettuce apart again, like that sort of sound. It's like wow, that's how they made this sound. It's mad.
Wow, it must have been a really nice ripe lettuce. Like it's just fresh. Because you imagine if it's like super soggy and it's just nothing there. Like, I did not know that. That's amazing.
It's amazing. Like literally just ripping it apart like that. It's like, wow,
that's so cool.
It is. But I love those kind of things that like these behind the scenes details of being made,
like sound design and everything. Yeah,
exactly. That's where it comes from. But it's mad, isn't it? Absolutely crazy. But we're gonna get there one day. You're too bloody talented not to. You're gonna get there. Yeah, boy.
I'll film myself chucking a can on the floor and pretend it's me or something like that.
Let's do it.
Dong dong. There you go. That's me. Yeah.
So what's the future plan is? So two amazing tracks, by the way. You can find them all on Amazon Music, Spotify, and so forth. What's the next step? Like new track, new EP?
Album? So the idea is so I'm going to expand on those two singles. So I've got another currently 2 or 3 tracks that are in the works. And I'm going to release those as a package. So it's going to be the 2 tracks that were released as singles and then the 3 new tracks as a complete EP.
Wicked.
And then after that, I'm going to be filming some videos for some of those tracks. Like, so I'm going to hire out a studio or, you know, get a proper, you know, a video production on it, so they can have visual stuff. And then I really want to organize a little UK tour of the thing, because I think at that point I'll have about, you know, half an hour to 40 minutes of music, so I can probably squeeze in a set or somewhere, you know, just doing these kind of small shows just to gain some traction, and then send it to everybody who may be interested or whatever, and that's what the future is. And then apart from that, it's just I'm going to continue with the teaching and doing the gigs that, you know, I'll do the function gigs or weddings and whatever, and that's the plan.
Yay.
That's the plan.
It's going to work out for sure. I mean, before we go to it, how can people find you online as well? Where can people find you?
Okay, so people can find me on Instagram, Annie_Savvides. They can also find me on Facebook and also YouTube as well. Yay. I've got a YouTube channel, which is the same as the Instagram, but it's just another thing. It will be something that will be its own thing at some point in the future. But Instagram is where I mainly spend most of my time. So yeah, come and say hi and leave nasty comments if you like.
No one do that. If you could not do.
But yeah, it would be great to see everybody there.
Wicked, Kaz. That's perfect, man. Thank you so much, Kaz. Love you.
Thank you.
Love you. That's wicked, man. And take care, everyone. See you in a bit. Bye-bye.